pâte à choux is such a fundamental recipe that I've had to make it twice for 2 major job interviews. The pastry flour gets sifted and then set aside, and into the pot goes everything except the eggs, which will go on the paddle with the panade, which is the first dough, which is what we're making in the pan. The butter goes in first so that it doesn't plop in after you put the liquids and splash. The salt adds some flavor, the sugar adds a tiny bit of sweetness, but mostly it will give a little caramelization when you bake it. Butter gives flavor, caramelization, and it makes a really tender, nice product. And water has no flavor, and it can tend to toughen out your panade. So a lot of recipes will give you the choice, and doing half and half is probably a good way to go. Now you gently want to bring the butter mixture up to a boil, pull it off the heat, and then add all of the flour at once. And I know I didn't do that, but that's the ideal way to do it. Then on a lower heat, and don't hesitate to pull that pan off the heat, you want to keep with a spatula that dough moving. And you're going to see that steam release, and you only want to release enough steam, not too much, not too little. So how you're going to test it is to shake the pan and see if you've created a dough roll. And it sort of rolls together, holds together, and rolls around the bottom of the pan. That's when you know that you're close, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. Once you're done getting it exactly right, it's going to go into the bowl where you'll paddle it for a second to bang off the steam and the heat, and then you'll slowly start to add the eggs. The reason you do this is because you don't want to add all of them. Humidity, the temperature of your kitchen, all of these things affect the amount of moisture in your dough. And just like with the meringue and not wanting to beat out too much of the moisture and dry it out, you don't want to lose all of that moisture, because when you put it in the oven, it's that moisture that's going to expand and create steam. So if you've cooked it all off or paddled it all off, you're not going to have any steam for expansion. When you lift it, see how it's not flowing off of the paddle? I used all of the eggs, so what do? You do not add more eggs because it'll make it too eggy tasting and throw off the formula. So you're going to heat some whole milk and add a tablespoon at a time. And that's all I needed, because when I tested the dough again, to know that it's flexible, it should run off of the paddle in a V shape, like it is. Not fast, not run, but there it goes. It naturally, gravity will pull it off, or you can pinch it, and it shouldn't just break, it should stretch. This is a make it today and pipe it tomorrow kind of recipe, so I'm going to take the batter and put it in a deli cup and cover it to touch and keep it in the cooler overnight. As it's in the cooler, the starches will hydrate and it will become cold, so that when I put it in the oven, I'll get even a little bit more puff. So come back tomorrow for my next video where I show makeups, toppings, and fillings.